All right, everybody, welcome back to Spiraling Together. This is episode 14.
Unmasking Myths, the true origins of witches and Halloween.
Aloha, friends.
Welcome to Spiraling Together, a mother-daughter healing journey.
I'm the daughter, Chloe.
And I'm the mother, Valerie.
Our mission is to create a safe, nurturing space where mothers and daughters can begin a journey of healing and empowerment together.
Through heartfelt conversations, shared experiences, and our personal insights, we aim to foster deeper connections, strengthen bonds, and inspire growth.
Before we dive into today's conversation, we want to take a moment to express our heartfelt thanks to all of you who are tuning in.
Your willingness to expand and grow with us inspires us each day, and we are honored to have you as part of our community.
If you haven't already, please check out our links below and follow us on your favorite platforms so you never miss an episode.
Let's get ready to unravel the spiral
Together. That's right. So, of course, we're doing this one because it's October.
Today is Halloween. Today is
Yes.
literally Halloween.
This is going to come out a little bit later, but we thought it was still worthwhile to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. It's important because I think one of the things that we do on Spiraling Together is that we question the things that, are mainstream, and we look back at, what we've learned, and we want to see, do we still believe that belief, or like where are the origins?
Exactly. Because we definitely learn things as we get older about the truth and unveiling stuff that we are taught that is not true. But before we get into all of that good stuff, we're just going to kind of ease into things like we usually do. So, first things first, obviously, things look a little different today.
Yeah, we had to not be together. And so I am at the farm and Chloe's in San Diego. And so we are trying out this new long distance podcasting, which
We
kind of makes me
are.
a little sad because I was hoping you'd be on the couch with me, but nah, we are evolving and growing.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What else could we talk about?
Well, I mean, let's just like give some updates. I have something exciting that I want to share.
Okay. Go
So
for it.
I have had this dream of having mini cows on the farm, and it's finally here. Like, it has been about 2 years, and I've been wanting to get mini cows. And recently there's a farm on the Big Island called Walter's Farm who has been raising miniature cattle. And they reached out and they were like, hey, we have a couple of babies on the way. Calves, are you, still interested? And yes. So the first little heifer was born, and her name is Honeysuckle. I named her because I don't know, it just came to me when I saw her. She's like a little white heifer calf with like these red ears and nose, and she's so cute.
Yeah, she is insanely cute. Like, I remember when you sent the picture of her, I was like, that's unreal. Like, yeah,
it just literally
she's really cute.
I've cried with happiness so many times because I grew up, at my grandparents' farm. I went there a lot, and they had cows, and it was just cows were just something that always like just made me so happy. So the other, the mama, I call her, she's a mama. Her name is Lashes. She is due anytime, and I'm really hoping that like today she's going to give birth. I don't know, because she's uttering up. So yeah. So that's kind of like exciting. We're getting the we're going to build a little barn thing for them and partition off a little bit more because we have a lot of acreage and so we're getting it ready for them to come around December. They'll
Mhm.
still be by that time needing a bottle once or twice a day, which will help us bond with them. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what's exciting on my end. How about you?
Well, I'm also super excited to see the cows because
Yes.
I'll definitely be coming over to see them.
Yay.
Um, I think for me, I'm just really, really excited to go to Japan next month. um, yeah, it's like seeing my brother and his girlfriend and their friends there. I'm like, oh my gosh, it can't come any faster. Like, I need to go. But yeah, I'm excited to spend time with my boyfriend and his family there too and
Yeah.
see where his mom grew up and everything. That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah, Japan is fun. Such
Yeah,
a beautiful place, great food. It's such a it's a cool place. We've
it really is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean like how's everyday life going?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, just protecting my peace around and chilling mostly. Been going on a lot more walks and stuff, just still kind of exploring around. It's getting really cold, which I say really cold, even though it's only 68 degrees, but I am freezing here. Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, is this real? I'm just so not used to it.
It is definitely this change in season, you know. I have
Hmm.
felt that too come on in Hawaii. We don't get like seasons really, like, there's not gonna be, like, a super surge of cold air, but it is, like, the rainy season, and it's been raining a lot, and there was actually snow on Mauna Kea a couple days ago, so it's like I could really feel this change in the season of the witch. Yeah.
The season of the witch.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I really I think a lot of people during this time when winter is coming, it's like we are forced to slow down, and that can be really uncomfortable because our society is very used to being on the go, go, go all the time and doing things all the time. And so when we're limited by the weather, when we're not able to go out and be in the sun and go in the garden and do all of the things, it can start being uncomfortable because then your body's in this like perpetual state of motion. And then it's like, wait, I have to slow down. But that feels very uncomfortable. But it's actually the death and rebirth of the
Mhm.
season, and leaning into it and accepting it is really like, I believe, what the season is truly about.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely, like, felt that a lot. Living in Hawaii, it's not as crazy. Like you said, the weather, it doesn't get changed too much, but I do notice, like, when it's rainy and I don't have the option to go outside really, or, like, it's really cold and stuff, I'm like, "Ugh, like, I have to stay inside." I do like staying inside, but I feel like it gives me that, like, "Ugh, I feel like I have to," you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that you like inside, you just wanna fight it
Right.
as if you can change it. But maybe during this time, we choose other things, like, maybe this is a time of, well, like, it's a great time to do inner work and shadow work, and it's a great time to read or learn something new or just pick up something that you can do inside, you know?
Right. I know
Mhm.
I've definitely, like, I feel like when I woke up this morning, I was like, I've been, like, falling out of reading a lot because I started to pick it up and I was like really enjoying it, but I feel like recently I'm like I haven't picked up like 3 books that I've started in the past like month. So, I was going to make that a point to get back into that because
Nice.
it is cozy being in bed under all the blankets when it's cold outside and having a book to read.
Yeah, it's perfect. I am something else I am doing right now is I'm doing my 30 days of no social media.
Yeah.
And I did it last year and it really hit me this year. The reason why it was exactly around this time.
Mm.
It is the calling of the time to slow down. I mean, if you look at what the earth is doing when she is going to winter, it is time to rest, you know? It's time to rest.
Hibernation time.
Yeah, hibernation or yeah, just things are things are dying and things are like yeah,
Yeah.
sleeping and so I think it'd be a good time to transition into our topic today.
Yeah.
Since today is actually October 31st
Mhm.
and what we call now Halloween actually got its roots from Celtic and Scottish traditions, or
Mhm.
it was Samhain is like the original time that was celebrated. You
Mhm.
know, it was really like about the earth and the sun and the moon, and it was about the Lunar New Year. So it's such a like it's changed so much from the origins of, you know, celebrating our celestial beings and celebrating the seasons, the change, celebrating the cycles of the moon and the earth. And
Mhm.
then it turned into this.
Capitalistic holiday,
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah.
it
I
doesn't
mean,
even I was gonna say, like, I think the roots of Halloween are so much cooler than what Halloween is today. Like, I feel like even when I was a kid, you don't really know what are we celebrating? Scary stuff? Getting candy for free? I don't get it. It was like a fun little thing to do, but it's like, what's the point? You know? And
yeah,
you no one really, like, talks about it, I feel like. I honestly didn't even know what it was until this year when you started talking to me about it. Like, I didn't know what the point was, and Halloween was like, I do enjoy the holiday because I think it can be fun. I think dressing up with your friends is cool and everything, but I was never a huge Halloween person because I'm like, I just don't get it. Like, why are we doing this, you know? Aloha, listeners. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Spiraling Together. We're just taking a quick break to remind you about a few things.
if you're loving what you hear, we ask you to please follow, like, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people who might benefit from our conversations.
And we're on all the major social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just search for Spiraling Together, and you'll see all our latest updates and behind-the-scenes content.
We absolutely love hearing from you. Your comments, likes, and shares mean the world to us. They not only motivate us to keep us going, but also helps us create better content for you.
So, if you have any feedback, questions, or topics you'd like us to cover, please leave us a comment or send us a message. We read every single one and appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you so much for supporting Spiraling Together. Your engagement and feedback are what keep us inspired and passionate about bringing you more vulnerable conversations.
Now, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and I think that that's so funny because so many things that we don't know why we do them.
That's
It's
true.
just like what you grow up with.
It's what
Um,
society is doing, and it's quote unquote normal.
yeah, and so, part of a healing journey is starting to unlock these things so that you can understand, why are we doing this? And do I really want to do this in this capacity? Do I want to like go into Target and feel that I have to purchase the fake pumpkin and the spider webs and the candy and all of, like, do I need to feel that like pressure to do that just because it's like thrown in my face?
Yeah, I was like, I never also like thought of Halloween as a um holiday that you actually spend a lot of money on, but I didn't realize it's like actually the entire month of October, and what gets pushed out on social media and stuff. It's like, go to a pumpkin patch, buy a pumpkin, carve a pumpkin. And then there's like fall movie nights, or like this is when like Starbucks is starting the pumpkin spice lattes. Like everything. I was like, October really is a start of the holiday season, and you spend so much money if you do all the things that are like the thing to do in October. And then it's like not even mentioning the costumes and then costume parties that people throw. And I was like, my friend Grace and I'm like, dude, what is going on? It's October. Why is there so much money being spent on all of this stuff that's we're I don't know, it's just so like ugh.
Yeah, it's I think what you were saying is just like having that witness of like, I got to do all the things, and a lot of people got
Yeah,
to do it to take the pictures to put on social media to show that they did all the things.
right.
Um but I think it's important to, yeah, understand that all of these things that go on, you have the choice if you want to participate or not. Like,
Mhm.
I I made an altar for Samhain, and because Samhain is also a time where the veil thins between the worlds. And
Mhm.
I know for me, like growing up with the Halloween and the scary and the ghosts, and you're taught that ghosts are scary, but like being able to really know that like we're all going to die, right? Everybody's going to die at some point. And so, since we have ancestors that have already passed over, if we have the opportunity to possibly, when you say the veils are thinning, like having the possibility of them reaching out to you in a dream, or leaving something like a sign, like a feather or whatever you see, or the heart that I talk about.
Mhm.
That's actually a really beautiful time to honor your ancestors because they come through.
This reminds me a lot of de los Muertos. Like this, when I was taking Spanish in school, this holiday actually made sense to me. And it's like, a festival to honor the dead, which makes sense. And it didn't come off as some like holiday where you are like glorifying monsters and like all the scary stuff in the world, because honestly I think that's weird too. And especially as a kid, like being shown all that stuff, it's like that's not nice. Like we don't want to think about that stuff, right? And everything I feel like is just put in a bad light a lot of the time, and it is to scare you. But when I learned about Dia de los Muertos, I was like, whoa, this is cool. This makes sense. Like, why don't we do something like that?
Because we've commercialized the holiday. Huh. But I love that you brought up that Dia de los Muertos because it is very similar to Samhain in the fact that it does honor the ancestors and
Mhm.
it does put out what do they say a ofrenda, I guess?
Ofrenda.
Ofrenda, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of like what I did this year, but I did a little more towards the Celtic, the Druidic line. Yeah, 'cause
Mhm.
I very much resonate with that. But let's talk about the scary things now. And
Okay.
well, let's talk about what is one of the main things that you hear, like, in Halloween, the scary woman who's got a crooked nose and moles and is green and turns you into
Witches.
witches.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what do you what do you think of when you think about witches, like, growing up? Like, what are the things that you heard? What are the things that you
I mean, I guess for me, it's like I have an image. It's like, like the tall black hat and like just wearing all black. And I guess like someone who is kind of more on the evil side. They're not necessarily good. Um, and like, I don't know, they make potions in a cauldron and they have a crazy laugh. Like, I mean, it's what's depicted everywhere all the time. We don't really have a good point of view. But then if you take it back to like the reality of the things that we were taught, I guess, like most of what I remember is just like burning witches at the stake and they're bad people and that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that is what the patriarchal society has wanted you to believe.
Mhm.
That's what, you know, religious tyranny and all of these other systems have wanted us to believe that witches were evil, and so I think it's time to demystify some of that. I so back in the mid 1400s when religion was starting to, come in and these usually they were women. There were men too, but these women were actually healers and
Mm.
walking a spiritual path. They did use herbs to make potions or to make medicines for their community. They were highly revered in their community. They helped people. Some were midwives, but whenever like Christianity and Catholicism started to be born, um, they really started to not want women to have these powers, their innate powers and their connection to the elements. And so they began to say that what they were doing was evil and demonic. And so they went on a large witch hunt, and it lasted for centuries, these witch hunts. Maybe you heard of, like, the Salem witch trials, those happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in witches, they weren't just burned, they were beheaded, they were hung, they were drowned, and we're talking tens of thousands of women
Mhm.
and men. I'm getting goosebumps right now. Um, they were tortured, and these women were doing nothing more than helping others. But the church didn't want women to have power.
It also seems like they didn't want them to have power and they also didn't want them to heal people because they wanted to take control over that as well. Once
Yes.
again, kind of like this capitalistic idea. trying to own everything so that they administer everything. They have power over everything.
That's so
Just how it
true.
is.
That is so true. And it's also whenever they were starting to train males for like becoming a doctor or a physician, they also, they didn't want women treating anyone else. They also didn't want their medicines to treat because they wanted to then turn to science only. And so, there was a lot when it started to really be a heavily patriarchal, reign. And and so because this was if you can really think about, like, sometimes I just think about, okay, I'm in a town, and all of a sudden these angry men are coming through and they're just killing these women. And some of the women that were killed were not even considered what a witch. They weren't even considered that. But it was really a time for fear to be placed upon these communities and villages so that nobody would dare do these connections with the earth or take these herbs. You're going to get killed. So what happens when you have that much fear all around you? You maybe you turn in someone because they're like accusing you, and this is kind of where like that sister wound is created. Yeah, I saw Chloe. She was out dancing in the moonlight, and she was singing and dancing under the full moon. Witch. And then Chloe is then put on trial, and she's found guilty because it's easier just to kill her and create more fear. And so
Save yourself.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if you can really think about it, like if you were alive during that time and everyone is being, killed around you because they're not they're standing in their power, and they're using their voices, and they're using the things that they know to heal. Yeah, you're not it's basically like, okay, so I guess where I would like to transition is because this happened thousands of years ago, and because the extreme, the way that we've twisted it now, this wound within us has been passed down through our souls, through our DNA, like creating a witch wound.
Right. Aloha, beautiful souls.
Before we continue, we have something exciting to share with you. We've been using Kono Nutrition products for the past 6 months, including their lemon lime pre-workout, protein powder, and vitamin D3 K2, and we are absolutely loving them.
That's right. I've completely kicked harmful energy drinks to the curb because Kono's lemon lime pre-workout gives me a clean boost without the crash. It's been a total game changer for my energy levels.
We decided to try Kono Nutrition after hearing Alex Connolly, cancer survivor and founder of Kono Nutrition, on the Higher Self podcast by Danny Morell. He discussed the harmful ingredients often found in supplements, which made us rethink our choices, as we know what we consume matters.
With Kono, we're getting clean, effective products that we feel great about using. And because we want you to experience the same benefits, we have a special offer for you.
Use our link in the show notes below and get 15% off your purchase at Kono Nutrition. We genuinely believe in these products, and we are excited for you to try them out.
Thanks for listening. And now let's get back to the episode.
Right. So when we have fear of being judged, when we have fear of using our voices, when we have these fears that we don't even understand, like where this comes from, it is very likely that this is from this witch wound that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And I mean, it is really like, just like when we did that episode about spirituality and religion, how
Mhm.
much religion has shaped our society.
Yeah.
This witch wound has done the same thing. You know, this was a major collective trauma that wasn't just happening in Europe, but it started spreading all around the world. And it took women and some men, majority were women, but there were some men that also were witches. Um, this just squashed the power out of women, completely
Mhm.
took their power away. And again, when we talk about power, we're not talking about, overrunning and forcing people to believe us. No, this is like your innate power, your connection.
Well, yeah, and that's like healing and nurturing. Those are huge feminine attributes. Like that is part of being female. That's kind of like it goes hand in hand. So to have that taken away is like who are you at that point, you know? Having that taken away is awful.
Yeah. And now, maybe we don't have to, like, there are other parts of the world that this is different, but we can use our voices now.
Mhm.
We can stand up for our own truth now. However, there is still that fear that lingers, that fear of judgment, because being able to stand in your truth and your power and your authentic self now it's still so scary because you're like, okay, let's just use the Halloween thing for example. It's like, well, if you don't have Halloween decorations up, or you're not taking your kids trick or treat, like whatever, like let's just say you're not participating in what everyone else does. That's where that fear of judgment can come in.
Definitely.
Like in any of the choices that we do, the way that we choose to show up in our lives, like what our career is, whether or not we go to college, whether or not we participate in all these societal norms.
Right. I literally
Yeah.
this is funny. Last night, like talking about like this fear of judgment. Um there was this YouTube video that came up talking about like what type of water bottle you drink out of, and like what this says about you. And he was basically just talking down on people for like using specific types of water bottles, and I'm sitting there like, who cares what kind of freaking water bottle someone drinks out of? Like, you're making me feel like I'm someone who's trying to portray myself in a certain way because I use this water bottle, when in reality I just liked it. Like,
It's not that
why
deep.
why does the judgment have to go that deep though? And why do you have to say all these negative things about a water bottle? Like, we're drinking water. Everybody has to drink water. Everyone's just going to pick something that they want to use for their own reason. Like, it, I don't know. I was
Yeah.
just like, that's such a crazy thing to criticize people for, you know?
And that's why we do the inner work, Chloe. That's why we do the work, so that we can know that people are going to judge, and we get to choose whether or not we're going to accept that judgment,
Yeah.
or if we're going to say, it's just not that deep.
Yeah.
I get to make this choice for myself, and I don't really give a fuck about what anyone else thinks about my
Exactly.
choices, because this resonates with me. This makes me
Right.
happy. I feel good doing this. I
Mhm.
feel good drinking out of this water bottle.
Right.
Yeah,
It keeps my
and
water cold, bro. All
right,
right.
and it is also, we've talked about this before, like, what are we consuming?
Mm,
What are we consuming
yeah.
when we are watching social media? Do we need to, like, watch this person's judgmental opinions? Because if it starts making us feel some type of way,
Yeah.
that's probably not the best thing to consume.
And to be fair, I
Mhm.
think the underlying theme of that video was more like all of these different water bottles are coming out and they all do the same thing. It's just they come out and they're mainstream and everyone buys it. So we're consuming, consuming, consuming. I think that was the point, which I can understand. But I'm like, then for you to go and make these assumptions on each one of them and talk bad about people who buy a certain one, then it's like, well, you're defeating the purpose of your message of over consuming by then being negative to all the people who did buy it. And like, you're changing the whole point, you know? I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, and I like kind of the consumption and the consumerism, the capitalism and all that, even around this Halloween
Mhm.
holiday. I think that at some point, you know, we just have to really be honest with ourselves. Are we doing the things because everyone else is, or is this truly resonating with us? You know, is this the amount of pumpkins that are thrown in the landfill, is that really, like, worth it,
Yeah.
or can you
Well, and
compost
then
your
it's
pumpkins
even
and
like, oh, like, am I going to buy a bunch of horrible sugar-filled candy for all these kids to consume? Because now am I poisoning them with sugar? Yeah. And also, how much does a bag of Halloween candy cost nowadays? Like $20. I was like, "Wha what? Like
can
20
I be honest?
bucks? What?"
I'm, like, really happy that no one trick or treats where we live, like, because it's, kind of impossible, because, our
True.
land is gated in and no one trick or treats, but I don't wanna give out candy. And
Yeah.
no, I'm not a Scrooge. I just don't wanna, like, throw things I know that are extremely unhealthy. It's only one
Yeah.
day, but you know that it's not just one day. That freaking pillowcase of candy lasts for a really long time, and that stuff is just
Yeah.
it's shit.
Yeah.
So,
But then I think about, like, when I was a kid and when I went trick-or-treating, and I'm like, "Oh, like, do I really not wanna give kids candy?"
yeah,
Because I would be like, "Really? Like, this house is being lame. They're not gonna give me candy."
yeah. No, I know, and it
You
was
know, there's
fun.
always
But then it was like, do you
multiple
remember the
sides to it.
check your candy for razor blades and check your candy
Yeah.
for, I'm like, "What?" That's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah,
That's crazy stuff. Like
so I
tampering with candy. Sorry, okay.
yeah. Oh, no, that's okay. I wanted to, like, give a little bit more, because I think that it's really important, like, talking about witches and how they a lot of women now and men are coming back to that realization that like in their past lives or in their lineage, they have and they are a witch. Like they know that they are. And I definitely feel that about myself. And I resonate very much with herbs and potions and the healing arts that and connecting to the moon and connecting to the elements and everything. And so I wanted to bring in like even that symbol, the pentagram,
Mhm.
and like I don't know about you, but I remember seeing so much of that. That's like this evil demonic,
Demonic, right.
right? But do you know what it actually like stands for?
Well, I didn't until yesterday.
So the pentagram, it literally honors the elements: fire,
Mhm.
air, water, earth, and spirit. And that is what the symbol is. It's not some demonic, symbol that you're,
Yeah.
yeah, that you are. So it's a beautiful symbol. And
Mhm.
it's just, I think I have this, I found this book, The Witch's Herbal Apothecary.
Dude, right when
And
you grabbed that, I grabbed
grab
mine
your
at the
book,
same
yeah, and so
time.
it's use earth magic to create your own magical home apothecary, and so it has rituals and recipes for a year of earth magic and sacred medicine making. Yes, and I just think it's really beautiful because you're connecting with the elements and the
Mhm.
magic that's all around us and the real medicine, and so tell us about your book.
Yeah, so I pulled this out. I bought this like years ago. Um it's called The Witch's Way: A Guide to Modern Day Spellcraft, Nature Magic, and Divination by Sean Robbins and Leanna Greenaway. Um I just thought it was like really, really cool. And I was like called to it because it's like my favorite color and it's like witchy, which I thought was cool. But it is really, really pretty. And the spine is like that. But it it goes over a lot of stuff, like well, different trees and then the herbs, like a lot of nature. It has little spell casting stuff. And then it talks about angels, a little bit of backstory about the witches, different types of witches. It even like brings in astrology and talks about that. Um, yeah, there's just a bunch of information, and I was reading it, and these authors have two other books about witches as well that are like this. Um, so yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to point out that witches, when we're talking about spells, they're protection, and
Hmm.
witches are really about light. They're not about dark. Now, I can't say that there aren't some witches that practice darkness. I
That's
mean,
true.
we know that there is evil in the world, but we also know that there's people who claim to be a certain religion and they do evil things. There are people that claim to be thing. So witches are really connected to the cycles, to the earth, to the plants, to the animals, to the spirit realm, to all of these beautiful things that help us connect back to who we really are. Remember, because we're both human and sacred at the same time. And so being able to connect to the sacred elements, I mean, we are earth, water, fire, and air. Like that's
Hmm.
the first four chakras. So I really had a fun time talking about all of these things today.
Me too.
And I know that you and I have we are witches. I know that. Like I feel very much like a green witch being out here on the farm. But I also know that it's a spiritual path too. You know,
Mhm.
paganism or whatever is it's really the connection to nature. It's not evil.
Mhm.
And really sit with, when you hear the word witch, what do you feel inside of you? Do you feel automatically like that's evil? Well, that's what you've been taught to believe. But what do you really feel when you sit outside in nature? When you touch a tree, when you breathe in air, when you have your foot on the feet on the sand, when you conspire with nature and with Mother Earth, like what do you really feel? That's witches for you. Like nature is our greatest healer and teacher. So I hope that this was an informative episode
Right.
and possibly giving you a little inspiration to do a little research on the truth and to see how deeply this witch wound and this sister wound has impacted us as women,
Mhm.
and what it takes to
Definitely.
unravel all of that fear and judgment and everything that's been cast on us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess our next episode is going to be a little mini-sode, and we'll just
Yeah.
do something like that. And are we done?
I think so.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out because it's not raining right now, and I'm gonna collect some herbs from the garden because I've been making
Nice.
some teas lately. So as we end every episode, don't
Don't
judge
judge
her,
her,
just
just
love her.
love her.
Bye.